What's up, Sunshiners? Welcome back to the final part of my top 20 all-time list. Maybe it's gone on a little long. I've got a ton of other things planned for the channel, so hopefully that's exciting. That being said, I'm going to hop right into it. My pick for number 5 is Danieru. Danny. I mean, Danny is just such a cool player in so many ways. It's, in my opinion, the name I was the most sad to see. He seemed really interested in playing Dawn of a Dynasty this year, and just wasn't able to schedule-wise, unfortunately. But always a very sweet guy, Danny is, and I mean, top 5 in my eyes for a reason. So, third in Lockout 2020, third in Season 3, and literally was arguably slated to win it. That third game against JJ was so close. And then fourth Connect 5 Invitational, fifth in Road Control. Just a really you player. Just a player you don't really ever see falter. Not a bad result in his career pretty much, except you could argue Season 2 7th place is the worst, and it's literally the strongest field of all time, so it's what can you really make of that? It's I don't know. Danny's just such a he's just been so good for so long, and the only thing that's really missing is a crazy high peak, which again so close in Season 3, right? That third game against JJ was ridiculous. That was that crazy draft game with the I don't know. It was crazy. I think this is that the butterfly first click game? I think that's the butterfly. That's stuff of legends, genuinely. The only thing that's really missing in my case for Danny is there's no tournament win. There's no top 2 even, I believe, which is I think a pretty big miss for Danny. Definitely obviously capable. I mean, no one's really doubting that. And that's one thing, and then the other thing is just doesn't have the ultra longevity that some of the other names up at this point have. Danny was definitely around in probably the most competitive era pretty much the whole way through, but nothing since 21, which is when Season 3 ended. So ultimately it is just a 2-year span, which is significant for sure, but it's hard to really say that I think there's definitely a case for him 4th, but I'd definitely not be on that in my eyes. And yeah, Danny just I don't know, for me though, what's most impressive almost is just that he passes the eye test with flying colors. Just every time I watch him play, it's just this is just really solid, really good. Yeah, I don't know. Danny, super great player. Got him at number 5. For the number 4 spot, I'm gonna have to put Jeff Compass. Jeff is, he's just so good, man. It's just so cool to watch Jeff play because, he's truly, really the only name in my eyes in this top 5 who really, came up from the bottom, right? I feel for the whole lifespan of Bingo since 2019, the people who started at the top ended at the top. And Jeff is really, the name that kind of clawed his way up slowly through a really difficult system to crawl up. So nothing too notable before the season era, right? Enters a bunch of tournaments. I think he qualified for Invasion 2020, which is pretty cool. And then he gets 2nd in Season 1 in Div 2, which again, it's Div 2. This is really not, where the super impressive results are. Then makes playoffs of Div 1 in the next season. And then he gets 5th in Season 3, and he's just slowly climbing up. And then he wins draft blockout in 2023. And then you combine that with the fact that he's has really good scrim results, greatest non-lockout player of all time, unquestionably. You add the fact that he has got it even throughout a long history of time. He's, in my eyes, he's clearly the best player. He has a mini era around when he wins draft blockout. And it's not it even ever really stops. He just kind of goes he doesn't play spring lockout, and then the smaller tourneys in 25. So whenever Jeff's around, he just does insanely well, and then all of that sort of culminates in this crazy Dawn of a Dynasty run for me, where he almost beats Ramato, and it's just so close. And like he's also crushing Ramato in early scrims. Like and like I don't know. I think that best of 3 was, in my opinion, like looked like the final of the tournament. So I mean, did he technically get third? Yeah, but like, did he only lose to Ramato? Yeah. So it's like, at that point, he was basically, in my eyes, the second best player at that tournament. So I don't know, just super impressive, and like proving you can do it against Ramato is also super impressive. So it's like, he's got the longevity, he's got the results. Jeff's kind of got it all. He's got a win under his belt, which is, in my eyes, what kind of sets him apart from Danny. Even if, you know, the field of draft blockout might not have been the most impressive win, it's still, I don't know, a tournament's a tournament in my eyes. It still matters. So yeah, Jeff is just also just such a consistent player, but also just has these games that are just like so creative. Like the boss rematch over delay against Trey in season 2 is like a famed classic. And then there was like a card in this recent tournament where he played Serena, where every card vetter thought Serena was the other side's to play, and then he kind of takes all the value. So yeah, I don't know, super fascinating player. I think that was against Rasmus. But yeah, great player, great, I don't know, you just can't go wrong with Jeff. He's nuts. He's so good. For the number 3 slot for me, and 2 and 3 in my eyes are really close. So this is something that I would not be surprised if it changes within the next year or in literally a single tournament. But for number 3, I have JJ. JJ is just like, what a player, man. Like, you look at the longevity, he's just been there, it feels like, throughout the whole time. Doesn't start off playing bingo in like the 2019 events, but like even gets top 5 in like 2020 in lockout and invasion, and then just it feels like he just improves every season. So season 1 he gets 3rd, which by itself is a really impressive placing. Season 2 he gets 2nd in the most competitive season ever. And then season 3, he finally earns his well-deserved crown. And, you know, maybe doesn't beat Ramato to do it, but still beating Danny and Despin in that run is still so impressive. It's just an incredible showing. And then, like, beyond that, it's like there's maybe, like, the only thing you can maybe point out as, like, weak is, like, 5th place in spring lockout, but it's also, like, everyone has ebbs and flows, right? Like, you really can't fault JJ for that, and also like dropped out of season 4 and still got 3rd. So it's like, I don't know, it's so hard. You can't really punish JJ and for any of those. And then also just 2nd Dawn of a Dynasty, like in 2026 he clearly still has what it takes to be one of bingo's elite. So, you know, it's just an incredible bingo career, basically capped off with in my opinion, the sort of crowning achievement is the season 3 win, but just the whole shebang is so impressive, just so consistently good for so long, which is crazy because you'd think it's like a kind of inconsistent play style with like super speed type of thing. So I don't know, super crazy player. The only thing in my eyes that makes me struggle to put him 2nd over 3rd, because again, it's so close, right? It's so close. It's just that he has an 0-8 record against Ramato, which is like, I get it, man. Ramato is literally the GOAT, right? I mean, at this point, I think the rankings are pretty clear, but no win against Ramato really hurts because he's had so many chances, like best of 3 finals, multiple best of 3 finals, and it just has always just barely fallen short. And also those game 2s in those finals. It's like game 1 I was often really close and really interesting, and then I feel like there's a trend where like the second game, like a little less close. And I don't know what causes that. I don't know if it's like a loss of composure, getting in his own head or what, but in my opinion, that's literally the only thing that's setting JJ apart from 2nd place. But obviously still top 3 for a reason. I mean, one of bingo's all-time most incredible players. For number 2 on my list, we've got to have Paperario. Pape is such a cool player because Pape in his prime, like, I don't know, people talk about him like he was King Von, and for a good reason, because he was the only man in kind of the history of bingo who was like consistently able to contend with Ramato. And like he's got like his era may not have been as long as JJ's, which is like that's like the one thing that hurts him is after season 1 there's no blip on the radar. He did play in Dawn of the Dynasty and do fairly well in my opinion, so I think he actually gets a fair amount of credit for that in my eyes, that he's still able to perform at a really high level all those years later. But I mean, obviously, like the Paper REO, you talk about the peak, right? Winner of Connect 5 Invitational over Ramato twice. Winner of Lockout 2020 over Ramato also twice, I believe. Maybe one of those Ramato gets sent to losers with someone else, but it's just like this guy's consistently beating the greatest of all time for like a year and a half long-ish period. It's just so impressive, and Paper is just such a good player, man. It's just insane. Like you look at prime Paper and it's like he's just so good. He's got the speed. He's like 120 record holder a little around this time or maybe shortly after this time. Like he's beating the GOAT in multiple tournaments. Like he's really the only player in bingo history who's like across multiple tournaments. He's like, yeah, this guy rivals Ramato for like a year. And that alone is just worth so much in my eyes that it's like probably enough for the second place spot. And it's like, I don't know, again, like Ramato in his bingo career, so few bingo losses, right? So the fact that like 4 of those are to Paper is like, I don't know, that's so impressive for me that Paper could just play at that level for as long as he did. And even like, I don't know, it's kind of like a normal curve where he starts with a 4th place, he ends with a 4th place in sort of season 1, which he still looks really good in, by the way. Like, sure, it's definitely not the prime Paper of old. He has the tragic forfeit game against Samu, of course, that's sort of immortalized. Kind of a sad way for the second greatest bingo player's all-time legacy to sort of, you know, end somewhat, but really, really honored that he came back to play this tournament in the current year, which was awesome. Just this really sweet guy too. So everyone loves Paper for a reason, and maybe prime Paper will be back in 2026, but I think that'll be tough. And this probably comes as a surprise to nobody, but for my greatest bingo player of all time, there's just no competition. It has to be Ramato. Ramato is just like, what hasn't been said about him? He just has won everything in every era. The list of tournaments that he's entered and lost is shorter than the list of tournaments that he's entered and won. Like let's just go through his accolades, right? So, wins Row Control 2019, loses Connect 5 and Lockout to Paper in the finals, wins Invasion 2020, wins Season 1, wins Season 2, again, probably the most competitive season of bingo of all time. 3rd place in Season 3 at a point where he was clearly at like a low, so it's like, I mean, either way, even if you count that harshly against him, there's no real doubt that like this jeopardizes his legacy in any way. And then in 2026, all these years later, 7 years after winning his first tournament, he wins Dawn of a Dynasty. And it's just like, it's like the field was so strong and assembled, and he comes in at the last moment. He's not even sure he wants to accept the invite, and he just does anyway, and he's practiced, and he just wins. Again, like drops 1 game to Jeff Compass on the way to like a tournament sweep. It's just so incredible. And I mean, it's just like, how can you even argue with that? Like, Ramato's just so good, man. It's just incredible consistency. It's so rare to see him flub a route. Literally individual losses feel like they're legendary. Like losing to Trey in season 2, where he had a 9-2 regular season, became a whole meme. The whole spicy pizza thing, which is like I don't know, him losing to Despin was like maybe the most shocking bingo result of all time. It's like ballads are written about this guy, basically, man. It's just such an incredible record for him to have, and it's just like, it's so hard to beat Ramato. Like, he's just so consistent over such a long period. So few, like, even when he makes mistakes, it's just like, it's so hard to even punish them, because he has the brain, he has the speed, he has good reads. there's not an aspect in the game where you can really point at and say he's even that weak. Even his composure, like the few moments when he's behind, his confidence is unwavering, and he just continues to play at that level. I remember the one game he lost this season, it was like 10-4 for Jeff, and people were like, this is not over. Like, Ramato has very real paths back, because even when he's out, like, it doesn't feel like he's out, because there's always a way, and if anyone's going to find it, it's going to be the greatest player of all time. So it's like, it's kind of like a living legend somehow. It's I don't know. Ramato's just been so good for so long. I don't know if he could ever be dethroned. I don't think he ever will, but you never know. Maybe it's hard to say, how much bingo is in the future. Who knows if there will still be tournaments 10 years from now, but I certainly hope so. And yeah, I think that's about it for my list overall. This was a long project, but I'm glad to have gotten it done eventually. Hopefully that my next sort of content ideas will be a little more varied and interesting. I've got one cooking up that should maybe be out in like a week. I've got another longer one sort of summing up the Scrimathon, which was this cool recent event. Me and Ramato scrimmed each other 22 times, and I'll make like a little highlight video of that and sort of maybe go through some of the more interesting games of that. Not that there were many, because oh boy did I get my ass beat. But that being said, I'm glad to be done with this list, and it was a good run for sure. Shout out to the bingo community for being so cool. Shout out to the Sunshine community also, always awesome. And here's to some more cool stuff in the future. All right, take care.